Violence in Oakland.
Violence breaking out.
So fed up with violence.
Violent crime in the area.
Say the violence in the city is out of control.
This is Oakland, California. Population 420,000. Home to some of the richest neighborhoods in the world, and also some of the poorest. With the highest violent crime rate in the state, the city faces an undeniable issue. At a national level, Oakland is more dangerous than 99% of the cities in the United States. So what happened to Oakland? What makes it unique from other Bay Area cities? What causes people to commit crime?
Poverty. I would say, people getting kind of forced out and forced to resort to different means to survive.
Poverty absolutely plays a role in criminal activity.
The impacts of poverty are far more than just statistics, however. A resident of Oakland explained to us how after 2 of his friends were robbed, he has been reluctant to walk the streets alone. Oakland did not always struggle like it does today. In fact, the city of San Francisco once led the race. Tables turned when low-income families living in San Francisco could no longer keep up with the ever-rising housing costs, forcing them to relocate to more affordable areas, while wealthier people moved in to once undesirable neighborhoods, a process known as gentrification. With the influx of poor families into Oakland, people began to aggregate in neighborhoods throughout the city, doing anything they could to keep themselves above water. An intern from City Team, a nonprofit organization dedicated to resolving many of the issues in Oakland, explained why people would go to such extremes to sustain themselves.
A lot of times when people are plagued by fear, then they react with anger. That's sort of the outward expression of that fear. And so you see people out here who feel like they have nothing to lose, and they're, intoxicated, then there's going to be situations where they're going to be reacting in violence.
Similar to San Francisco's history with gentrification, Oakland is now facing the very same problem that drove many low-income families into the city in the first place. Due to its proximity to the tech hub of Silicon Valley, more and more wealthy families move into the area, calling for increased renovation throughout the city.
In downtown Oakland, we've seen a big change in sort of the physical nature of the city, where you see a lot of apartment buildings going up. One is going up right around the corner where there used to be a parking lot, and now it's going to be sort of high-class apartment buildings. And so you see a lot of changing faces, and a lot of the people who were once able to afford living here in Oakland are now forced to come and accept our services.
As part of our research, we explored a homeless encampment near 6th Street. When we returned to the encampment the following week, we found the area completely cleared, the result of one of many citywide projects to lower the growth of what they see as a direct threat to public safety.
People are getting kind of squeezed out of their homes, and, desperate people do desperate things.
Often, such issues are just consequences of a greater problem. To help break the cycle of forced relocation and limited opportunity, City Team has taken into its own hands the task of promoting education amongst those who would otherwise fall back on other means of survival.
Once a person comes to the program, they test in. We have academic tests, so they test in. So whatever grade level they test in at, we want them to test out 2 grades higher. And for that purpose, we use Khan Academy. Once we log into Khan Academy, they have a strict curriculum that they go through in Khan Academy.
The City of Oakland has also been prioritizing safety amongst its residents by implementing stronger security.
Well, I work downtown Oakland security, and I would say since the company that I work for has been implemented, crime has been greatly reduced.
In 2010, 18.7% of Oakland's population lived below the poverty line, increasing by almost 2% in only 2 years. By 2016, 4 years later, the percentage had risen by only 0.1%. Although it continues to rise, it does so at a far slower rate. While Oakland's poverty growth rate slowly decreases, so does its violent crime rate, reflecting the positive effects of education, increased security, and other measures taken by growing organizations like City Team. In order to combat crime, we must begin by tackling it at its roots. The issue in Oakland should not be a perpetual cycle of crime fed by poverty. Action must be taken, and the roots of poverty, from substandard education to high costs of living, must continue to be tackled.